Stanford University says, hold on, the numbers that Fauci is touting are wrong. Very wrong. A team of research scientists through Stanford University, a university not exactly known for its, shall we say, pro-Trump policies, tendencies, or even like of this president, have some findings that absolutely obliterate the narrative given to us by Dr. Fauci, that i.e., we have to practice social distancing and we need time to slow the virus down to bring down the curve so we can find the vaccine and the treatment. Have you noticed that Fauci has fought every finding that doesn't agree with him? Reminds me very much of the assassination of President Garfield. Saying like, Pastor, where are you coming up with this one? Bear with me. Garfield did not die by the assassin's bullet. In fact, he survived the shooting. A team of doctors was working on the president, but yet one doctor managed to get the rest of the doctors away from the president, and he alone was going to save him with heavy doses of morphine as well as a wretched diet, and he refused to practice any type of sterilization or clean wound dressing, believing that germs were, quote, made up because you couldn't see them, despite the fact that this was the time when germs and penicillin and antibodies were being developed at a rapid rate, and doctors were coming into a greater understanding and appreciation. It is now believed that the doctor killed President Garfield, not the assassin's bullet. That said, Mr. President, you've allowed Dr. Fauci to kill your presidency, to kill the economy, and he pushes away and he is absolutely just arrogant in his dismissal of anyone that has a theory different than his. Now, if COVID is really this dangerous and we don't know anything about it, shouldn't we be listening to all of the scientific opinions about this? Unless Dr. Fauci has a narrative that he wants fostered, a narrative that he wants furthered. Now let's take for just a moment this Stanford University finding. They conducted their exam in Santa Clara County. At the time, they had 1,094 confirmed cases of COVID-19, resulted in 50 deaths. Their findings reveal that approximately 48,000 to 81,000 people had already been exposed to, had coronavirus, and were over it, and never even knew they had it. Many of us have been saying that from the beginning, that this is very much like the flu, and you can be asymptomatic and not even realize you have it. So that means at the time that there were 50 deaths, 1,000 people had it in a county that has what? 150,000 residents. They claimed that only a couple thousand people had been exposed to coronavirus. But Stanford University's results say, no, it's more like 81,000, which then takes the death rate from 4% to 0.2%. Now think about that. That is quite a significant drop. And what it does, it adds validity to the argument, herd immunity. This is how modern society has dealt with outbreaks and viruses literally for decades and for the last 3 centuries. You have to let a virus sweep through a population. God has built into every man an immunity system and the ability to ward off unless that immunity system is compromised through a pre-existing condition, a lingering health concern, disease, etc. But Fauci doesn't want to hear that. So the question then is, why is it that Fauci fights this so much? Well, I've told you he has the little nerd syndrome, that he's never had this kind of power. But also, we have talked about his connection with Bill Gates, with the World Health Organization, and now we find that Dr. Fauci himself was conducting experimentation with the coronavirus until the federal government stepped in and said, no more of that. So then he took his money and he sent it to China for China to investigate the benefits of corona. So is Dr. Fauci guilty of actually creating a pandemic which has taken lives, killed our economy?
Thank you, Mr. President. U.S. intelligence is saying this week that the coronavirus likely came from a level 4 lab in Wuhan. There's also another report that the NIH, under the Obama administration in 2015, gave that lab $3.7 million in a grant. Why would the U.S. give a grant like that to China?
The Obama administration gave them a grant of $3.7 million. I've been hearing about that. And we've instructed that if any grants are going to that area, we're looking at it literally about an hour ago, and also early in the morning. We will end that grant very quickly, but it was granted quite a while ago. They were granted a substantial amount of money. We're going to look at it and take a look, but I understand it was a number of years ago, right?
So you are.
When did you hear? When did you hear was the grant was made?
2015.
2015.
So it goes back to 2014. The U.S. government decided, based upon certain virologists at that time, saying that, look, there's no justification for this kind of research. There's a potential for it to cause harm, cause a pandemic. So there's no justification for us to do this type of research. So the government passed a moratorium in 2014. Fauci approved approved budgets to be monies to be sectioned for this type of research. So basically, and I'm getting really, every time I think about this, it gets me really flustered because I'm so angry that he basically broke the law. He more than broke the law. He created this entire cascade that we're seeing with the world shutdown was created by this initial aspect back in 2015. He broke the law. He went against government moratoriums. He took taxpayer money and he funded research that has now led to the COVID-19. In 2017, he was documented at Georgetown University saying that there will be a pandemic that this presidency will face, that this term will face. How did he know that in 2017 that something was going to happen in 2018, 19, or 2020? You can't predict the market from 3 days from today, what's going to happen. How did he know that there was going to be a pandemic? He stated, the president of this president will face a pandemic.
There's no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that. But also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak.
I'm going to say this. I think that I've seen some petitions going around. I know Dr. Shiva said that Fauci should be fired. I think that's the nicest thing that could be done to Fauci. I think he should. He's a criminal. He's broken the law. He's going against the government. I mean, to me, that seems like it's a traitorous thing to do when the government has passed a regulation and he's at one of the highest levels in the NIH. He's got a directorship at the NIH, and then he breaks the law, he breaks the moratorium, and then funds research against something that could potentially cause harm throughout the entire world, and he's in collusion with a foreign government.
More pieces to the puzzle that he was predicting in 2015 that the next presidential administration would have to deal with a pandemic. Really, Mr. President, fire him and then prosecute him. That's it for a quick Monday rant. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Share this video to other media platforms. Make sure you help us spread the word. That's how we get the truth out there. And I thank you so much for the work that you do on our behalf. Subscribe to the channel, smack the bell, and click the word all to get notification of my next rant.